Hi people, Moin away from back here again as always and as usual. Oh boy, do I have a treat for you guys. And you can see what kind of treat it is. I'm going to check out the natal chart. So the birth chart of Charles Ponzi. Now, for those of you that are unfamiliar with who Charles Ponzi is the one that a Ponzi scheme is named after. And again, for those of you that don't know what a Ponzi scheme is, a really long story short, to keep a really long story short, it's simply an elaborate scam where it's like an investor scam or an investment scam where you take money from other people and you keep accumulating money and you pay off people that you're supposed to pay off using the money of others, all the while making a profit, and it just builds up to the point where it explodes completely, kind of like a pyramid scheme. As far as I know, that's what a Ponzi scheme is all about, if I remember correctly. Either way, it stands for scamming. Okay, it's one of the biggest scams in mankind's history, to the point where any scam that resembles it is named after this guy. He's like the founder of this scam, Charles Ponzi. Obviously, you can find this Wikipedia article linked in the description of this video. Now, let's take a look at his birth chart. He was born on March 3rd, 1882 at 5:44 p.m. in Lugo, Italy. I managed to confirm the time of birth because of, it's me going away from birth. And yeah, let's just dive right in. I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible, but in all honesty, there is not a lot to say. Now, Uranus was going retrograde in the zodiac sign Virgo when he was born, and it's conjunct his ascendant, which was also in Virgo. He was born essentially when the sun was setting. Now, Uranus here in Virgo, going retrograde, conjunct the ascendant, which is also in Virgo, would stand for, generally speaking, issues regarding health, like erratic health issues. And that is potentially the case. But primarily, first and foremost, it refers to the fact that it refers to a strong tendency towards dishonesty regarding employment. So right off the bat, Uranus already says that the guy is a scammer. Okay, Uranus deals with essentially mood swings, erratic behavior. The fact that it's going retrograde stands for deceptiveness. It stands for unstable behavior in a negative sense, as in all of a sudden stealing, committing fraud, you name it, perjury, embezzlement, you name it. And the fact that it's in Virgo, Virgo simply refers to work. Anything that he sees as work, as in, hey, this is what I do to make a living, essentially, something I make money off of. And yeah, Uranus is very weak in Virgo. It's one of the weakest signs it can be in. And that's what it stands for. Now, before I continue, Uranus is opposed to Sun and Venus, which are both in Pisces. The Sun as well as Venus are also opposed the ascendant, which literally says the same thing, because the Sun and Venus deal with deceptiveness. In Pisces, deal with deceptiveness. The fact that they're in Pisces and they're opposed the ascendant as well as Uranus stands for deceptiveness. A strong, very strong tendency to be deceptive. And the fact that it's in the 7th house simply refers to the fact that Ponzi essentially screwed over people that were closest to him. He was deceptive towards them, very deceptive, and also two-faced. He essentially put on a charming facade towards people that were close to him. He was very sympathetic, very charming. That's what Venus says, because Venus is traditionally strong in Pisces. It stands for someone that's warm-hearted, affectionate, and sympathetic. But of course, like I said, within this context, he was born at sunset. That's why the sun is conjunct the descendant, so opposed the ascendant, stands for deceptiveness. Especially the opposition to the ascendant for both of these, as well as the opposition to Uranus and vice versa, is the nail in the coffin. So yeah, right off the bat, you can tell that the guy is a freaking scammer, a world-class scammer. Now, moving on. Mercury conjunct the part of fortune. It's in Aquarius, both of them, and Mercury is going retrograde, and it's opposed the moon and the black moon as well. Both in Leo in the 12th house, and Mercury is in the 6th house. Oh boy. That literally says that his mind is focused on defrauding or defrauding the masses. It simply stands for screwing over the public en masse, literally screwing over as many people as he possibly can. That's why Mercury is in the 6th house. Mercury in Aquarius stands for the public. Mercury going retrograde stands for a negative mentality towards the public. And the 6th house indicates where on the working floor and all things that in all areas of life that count as work for him. And the opposition with both the regular as well as the black moon in the 12th house. Both of them are in Leo. I even know this degree by memory. 28 degrees in Leo stands for abundance. Stands for the fact that there is an abundance of deception, emotional deception, and doing things behind the scenes, literally just deceiving people, literally and figuratively. That's why both moons are strong here. It's in the house of Pisces. Pisces in this context deals with it deals with criminal behavior. It deals with, in this context, it deals with behavior that is unethical. It deals with illegal behavior. Yes, illegal and highly immoral behavior. And last but not least, the part of fortune in Aquarius stands for substantial, even great successes in doing so. So everything up to present point or up to present date says that not only is he a world-class scammer, he is going to be very successful as a scammer, or he was successful as a scammer. If I saw his chart when he was born, his parents brought him to me, I would be like, oh boy, what do I tell the parents? Yeah, congratulations, your son is going to be like the greatest, one of the greatest scammers in the history of mankind. Now, moving on. Look at this nice big cluster. People that watch these videos of mine, my videos regularly, you remember the stuff I say, right? When you see a whole group of planets right next to each other, and all of them are very close to each other to the point where they're almost conjunct, usually it will be an outstanding person, someone that is truly exceptional at a global level. Doesn't necessarily have to be well known, but someone that compared to other people will be one hell of an exceptional character. And yeah, for Mr. Ponzi, it was no different. Now, Saturn in Taurus, conjunct the 9th house, and conjunct Neptune, also in Taurus. Neptune is weak in Taurus. Neptune does not do well in earth signs. Taurus is an earth sign, belonging to the element earth. Saturn in Taurus is not so bad, but under the conditions it is bad. Because Saturn in Taurus essentially stands for a fear of poverty, a fear of being poor. And Neptune in Taurus stands for committing deceptive practices in order to attain money. Chiron stands for the ability to be able to teach this kind of deception to others, but having slight difficulties himself with following his own advice. Jupiter is neutral in Taurus, more or less, but within this context it's weak. Jupiter in Taurus stands for the fact that there is an abundance, so a shit ton or a shit load of deceptive behavior of a financial nature. And last but not least, Pluto is at its absolute fucking weakest, because Pluto is at its strongest in Scorpio. And guess which zodiac sign opposes Scorpio? Taurus. Pluto in Taurus stands for using tremendous levels of willpower to gain financial resources through unethical means or by unethical means. And all of these are next to each other, more or less. Pluto is conjunct Jupiter. And Jupiter is conjunct Chiron and Neptune is conjunct Saturn. Saturn is conjunct Neptune and conjunct Chiron, only just, but not conjunct these two. Nevertheless, all of them, they form one tight-packed family. All of these in the 9th house stands for this deceptive, financially deceptive behavior of epic proportions taking place on foreign soil. Soil that is foreign to Mr. Ponzi in question. And yes, that is correct. The general description speaks for itself. Charles Ponzi was an Italian swindler and con artist who operated in the US and Canada. Yes, Mr. Ponzi was born in Italy, but the people he defrauded were, his victims were American in nature, American and Canadian. Just awful, but yeah. Now, Midheaven is in Gemini, which stands for the fact that essentially as the leader of whatever operation he was partaking in, whether he was teaching other scammers to be scammers on how to scam, or it's his own schemes, his Ponzi schemes. A lot of communication took place therein, okay? A lot of talking, a lot of paperwork, a lot of writing, as in, hey, listen, do this, do that, okay, sure, invest your money here, do that, you name it. Just the whole inner workings, the day-to-day workings, I mean, of a scam. And last but not least, you have Mars in Cancer. In the 10th house, Mars is quite strong in the house, but it's frustrated in Cancer. This simply stands for emotional frustrations, being moody and having a temper. So there were like temper outbursts of an emotional nature, essentially emotional aggressiveness. And in the 10th house, it simply stands for the fact that this level of aggressiveness, he simply showed it in his con artist ambitions, essentially seeing himself as the authority figure, etc. He was very he could be here a strong tendency to be very moody and very temperamental in relation to his scheming, his scheming and his scamming. Now, I know I said last but not least, because I already discussed the moon and Lilith, the black moon. They're in Leo. I almost forgot to mention the fact that they're in Leo simply stands for consistency. So Mr. Ponzi was a consistent scammer. That's one of the reasons he was such a great scammer. Consistency, high level of success, all of these are his natural character traits. And of course, the South Node and the North Node both are going retrograde. The South Node is in Gemini. Stands for the fact that he's already focusing enough on scamming people, and the North Node says that he should be more honest and on a day-to-day basis with his clientele. He should just not scam. So there you go, guys. You see for yourself. His strongest character, his strongest zodiac sign by far is Taurus. He has 5 celestial bodies in Taurus. Not to mention the fact that the 9th house is ruled by Taurus. For the rest, he has 2 in Leo, like Uranus and the Ascendant, so 2 elements in Virgo, 2 in Aquarius, and 2 in Pisces, and 3 if you count the Descendant. All those red lines that you're seeing here, guys, those are all negative aspects. Look at all of these. This is a grand square. A grand square is when so many things touch each other to the point where it becomes one big square. Look at this tilted square. It's like a square that's tilted at a 45-degree angle in both directions, both left and right, and vice versa, up as well as down, inverted, you name it. You're seeing that the red lines are substantially more noticeable than any blue lines. The blue lines are overshadowed by the red lines. Yes, you've got oppositions, you've got squares, you've got everything. This stands for very dishonest and very destructive behavior. He also has nothing but weak planets. There are no strong planets for him. Venus is the only thing that's strong, but even that, it's not strong. It's strong only in theory. Venus's strength is overshadowed by all the negativity. The reason it's strong is because Venus in Pisces stands for someone that's sympathetic, someone that's kind, someone that has a kind soul, a kind heart, and that is willing to help others. But in his case, it's opposed the Ascendant and opposed Uranus, so it literally undoes everything. It essentially says the same thing, but in reverse. So it says that instead of that, he is literally a scamming douchebag. And yeah, everything else, Uranus, laughably weak. It's already in a weak sign, and then it's going retrograde. Ascendant is weak. Mercury in going retrograde, because Mercury would be strong in Aquarius, but it's going retrograde here, weak. Not to mention all the oppositions. These two are neutral, but even they're not neutral. They're neutral in theory. The fact that they're opposed to Power of Fortune and opposed Mercury simply stands for highly deceptive behavior towards the public. And deceptive in a continuous and stable way, as in not knowing when to quit. I'm not going to quit scamming, doesn't matter what happens. I'll never stop scamming. Mars in Cancer, fucked up Mars. All of these, especially Neptune in Taurus, weak as fuck. They're all weak. All of them are so crappy. Pluto is the fucking weakest. It stands for literally tremendous levels of willpower and effort going into defrauding people, into scamming people. Just awful. Just awful. So yeah, there you go. You can see, as always, how accurate it is down to the letter. Okay? This is why Ponzi was such a Ponzi. This is why Ponzi was such a scammer. He was literally and figuratively speaking born to be a scammer. He literally had the natural personality to scam, and it does not matter what you would do, what you would say, he would literally continue scamming. Does not matter. Doesn't matter whether you locked him up in something, it does not matter. If he got a chance to scam a rat in prison, he would literally scam a rat, an actual rat walking by him or scurrying past him. I'm not exaggerating. So that's it, guys. See you guys later. Bye-bye.